In the NFL rankings, there's a new number one. Basketball season is 6 days away. The Seattle Mariners can advance to the World Series with 2 wins at home, and the same for the Dodgers, but it would be a sweep for LA. For the NFL news, ironically, the person who does the rankings for the NFL website, him and I, or her and I, usually have the same rankings. What I do is I usually have a draft that I've done before and after the Monday night game, and I make it official the next day. And when I check the rankings that they put out, sometimes they're pretty similar, and we both have around the same top teams, at least the same number one. So find out to see where your team is and who the new number one is. In NBA news, Sacramento Kings are making moves. They sign another point guard, free agent Russell Westbrook. They now have 2 point guards, and according to ESPN, he's signing for 1 year, $3.6 million veterans minimum. He was with Denver last year, and remember last season the Kings traded away point guard De'Aaron Fox, and they had no true point guard in my opinion. Then this year they signed Westbrook and Schroeder, 2 point guards. They were similar last year to how the Suns were when they had no point guard. They did use Malik Monk, but he's more of a shooting guard. We can use the Suns as an example that when you don't have a point guard, even with a talented team, it doesn't always work out. And Sacramento now has a bench as well. Westbrook last season with Denver played 75 games and started 36. He averaged or played 27.9 minutes, which is a lot, 4.9 rebounds, 6.1 assists, and 13.3 points. He should be able to get assists for the Kings, maybe a little more with the people he is playing with, and about the same or more rebounds. And their starting point guard, Schroeder, played for 3 teams last season, the Nets, Warriors, and Pistons. He was doing good with Brooklyn before they traded him. 6.6 assists and 18.4 points, averaged field goal percentage .452. He gets to be at the helm with Sacramento and should definitely increase his assists per game. And his points might stay the same. The Kings do have everyone who can score. But that wasn't the only move they made. Power forward Keegan Murray, he's out until about November according to NBA.com because of surgery. And they'll evaluate him about a month or should be back and they'll go from there. Well, he just signed a 5-year rookie extension for $140 million 5 years. I'd say, I did write down he has earned it and has proved himself the last few years. He's a defender who can shoot threes and get buckets in the paint, as well as a power forward, so a true stretch power forward. And NBA.com said he's hit 153 pointers in his first 3 seasons. And the Kings retained the same team for the most part as of last year after they traded Fox, and now have Schroeder, Westbrook, rookie Nick Clifford from Colorado State, I believe. They moved to the bench along with Monk, Clifford, Doug McDermott, and Drew Eubanks. Speaking of point guards, Nick's point guard they just signed has decided to retire, and I think this person would have helped their bench. He joined the Knicks who made the playoffs last season, they do have Miles McBride, Jordan Clarkson, Josh Hart, and Tracy Amundsen, and Malcolm Brogdon would have played with them. Would have helped the bench pretty well. The Knicks have plenty of depth. I feel they'll still be fine. I would say they need to find one more true center unless they decide to put Cat at center and Robinson off the bench in certain games or just different lineups. And speaking of retirements, extensions, heading back to the Western Conference, the Mavericks signed Jason Kidd, head coach, to an extension, and NBA.com has said the Mavs didn't release the deals or details other than it's a multi-year extension. Kidd should be able to lead the team to playoffs as long as they stay healthy, and when Kyrie comes back and can fit right in. They have rookie Cooper Flagg along with other veteran players as they signed D'Angelo Russell. Also last season they made the play-in playoffs, which was impressive, after trading Luka for AD. They have depth and can go far. I think they added. They have plenty of depth. They can do multiple lineups, big man lineup, small ball lineup, however they feel. Out of the ordinary lineups, as I have heard they've already experimented with Cooper Flag at point guard, which is weird when they have D'Angelo Russell. Now heading into NFL news, which is almost about halfway through the season. If we had a 16-game season, next week would make the halfway point. Stay tuned to find out the rankings of the new number 1 and who's in the top 10. If you're a Cowboys fan, might have some good news this week. CeeDee Lamb may return in Dallas against Washington, and this should be a good matchup. Both teams are coming off a loss. The Cowboys' loss was more surprising to me than the Commanders. The Commanders have receivers questionable, while the boys look to have Lamb back. And my pick, I might have Washington winning, but I think I might change it to Dallas. I'm not sure yet. I like Washington, but I don't know. I think this game will be high scoring. I might switch to the Cowboys. I think the difference maker is just going to be Clowney. Should be a good game, though. Speaking of receivers, Seahawks' Jackson Smith and Jigba leads the league in receiving yards, even though Seattle has a league low pass rate, NFL.com has said. Sam Darnold is helping Seattle like he did Minnesota the previous year. For the division, though, in the NFC West, the problem is the Niners and Rams are also good, which is pretty similar to the NFC North last year when the Packers, Lions, and Vikings were good as well. And the 49ers are finding ways to win with injuries. And out of all three teams, I'd say Seattle has the younger, better team overall. Darnold almost helped Seattle beat the Bucs in a shootout, and they lost on a last-minute field goal. They are coming off a win against the Jaguars team who beat the Chiefs, who just beat the Lions. They do face the Texans this week, and I think the Texans, despite having a rough offensive line, will win. This will be a true test for them on how they do as a complete football team. For the Texans, I mean. They're going on the road to Seattle, and Seattle is better on the road. Houston has been in most of their games, if not all of them. I think this will be an upset for Seattle by Houston. Despite their offensive struggles, they still do have a pretty strong defense. And then for Thursday night's Week 7 game, I wanted to pick the Bengals as upset over the Steelers. I kept going back and forth. I think the Steelers are better overall. I know I said Cincy would make the Super Bowl, but without Burrow, no. They now have Flacco, who almost let it come back against Green Bay. They are at home, so they have a little edge. However, Trey Hendrickson may not play, or is not playing, or expected to play. May not play, and Mike Gesicki isn't playing. So good thing the Bengals have tight end Noah Fant. And they have plenty of weapons on offense, and I've heard the problem is their offensive line. On the Steelers side, their defense, when healthy, is scary, and I'd say almost better than Cincy's, plus more household names. They just don't have lots of well-known receivers other than tight end Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and DK Metcalf. If they would have kept Woods, maybe I'd pick them, but I did switch to pick them actually. NFL.com has said this game is going to be known as the Icy Hot Bowl, with both quarterbacks 40 and 41. So I think the defenses will both. It will come down to defenses will get to both quarterbacks and what defense can get takeaways. And I put 10 points on the Steelers after asking my dad for some advice. Now, a game I screwed up really bad, got completely wrong last week, and I knew this team was going to come out swinging, was the Bills over the Falcons. And I didn't think they were going to come out with plenty of punches. I said they're inconsistent, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lose to an injured 49ers team, which I've also said the 49ers are better injured than when healthy. The 49ers defense is young, but they did just lose Fred Warner, so they'll have to rely on their offense. I do have the Niners for now. If Purdy, Kittle, and Pearsall are back, it's over. But then again, I've also said the Niners are better when injured, not healthy. Both teams have defenses, and this game is hard to pick. Now, let's go into the rankings and find out where your team is. But first, the Chiefs also get their receiver Rashee Rice back this week, and I'd say don't be surprised if the Chiefs go on a run now with their team or starting receivers healthy, and Juju will be the fourth man out. They can win 11 games in a row, and out of those 11, I can see them 4 games possibly losing. They have a favorable schedule, but also they have the Broncos and Chargers in the division, who, when healthy, are good teams. If the Chiefs can find their rushing game, then they will be dangerous because Mahomes has been their leading rusher for a while. We all know Pacheco is quick, speedy, elusive, and catch out of the backfield, while Hunt is their physical, strong back. Now let's find out if the Chiefs are in the top 10 and what other teams in the top 10 and who took that number 1 spot and what teams moved up in the top 5. So moving up 6 spots, cracking the top 10 this week, holding off the Bengals, it is the Green Bay Packers. Staying the same at number 9, after escaping in London against a winless Jets team, it is the Denver Broncos. And number 8, going down 3 after losing 2 games in a row, one to a division rival and one to an NFC team, it is the Buffalo Bills. At number 7, going down 3, in another surprise loss of the week, it is the Eagles. At number 6, moving up 1, closer to the top 5, it is the Indianapolis Colts, who barely hung on and beat Kyler Murray-less Cardinals team. Now at number 5, the top 5, I have 2 new teams in the top 5. One team moving up 9, probably the biggest jump this week. It is the Kansas City Chiefs after taking down the Detroit Lions. And not only that, they get Rice back as mentioned, so it should be scary this week, and they play the Raiders. At number 4, moving up 4, beating the Jaguars, who beat the Chiefs, it is the Seattle Seahawks. Moving down 2, at number 3, is the Detroit Lions. I still think they're a pretty good team despite losing to the Chiefs. And that game should have been a little better. They called off a touchdown because Jared Goff didn't set his motion. And maybe I need to look at their rules, but I still think that should have counted. And if they meet again, I think it'd be a good game. Moving up 1 at number 2, it is the Steelers. And then the new number 1, moving up 1, somehow winning against the 49ers team, it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And for Week 7's Thursday night game, I'm picking the Steelers over Cincy, as I mentioned. And for my picks this Sunday, I may or may not change them, but I think there will be quite a bit of upsets this week. I have been wrong before, so we can only wait and see. In baseball, the Blue Jays sprung into their first win of the ACLS against the Mariners. The Mariners lead 2-1. The Dodgers have Brewers in Game 3 and are leading 2-0. Both series have the road team and underdog taking the first 2 games on the road. Could we possibly see Mariners-Dodgers? And as an Angels fan, I'd like that. Moving to college football, I have some predictions. And also, if you haven't heard, Penn State fired head coach James Franklin after they just lost. A lot of unranked teams made the rankings. The top 4 looks different with Indiana and Texas A&M at 3 and 4, with Ole Miss looking in at 5. USC gets in the rankings at 20 after taking down a ranked Michigan team. Texas gets back in the rankings with a win over ranked Oklahoma. Utah, Cincy, and Nebraska round out the last 3 of the top 25. And I said it last week, Cincy should have been ranked when they beat Iowa State, as Iowa State lost this past week. And then here are some games I think will be good to watch this week, whether they're ranked or unranked. Number 5, Ole Miss versus number 9, Georgia. Number 11, Tennessee versus number 6, Alabama. Number 10, LSU versus number 17, Vandy. Both 5-1. Is Vandy and LSU both real? We will find out with this game. And Vandy did lose Alabama in a close game. Can Duke upset number 12 ranked Georgia Tech? Notre Dame is ranked after going back and forth. They're 13 with a 4-2 record, while USC is 20 with a 5-1 record, and this rivalry is always good. Someone explain to me how Notre Dame keeps being ranked, unranked, going back and forth, going low. They weren't unranked this week, or not this week at all. Crazy, then they snuck back in and they keep going up. Don't know how that's happening. Yes, I know they made the championship last year, and they lost. But how are they at 13 with a weird schedule or games this year? Record, there we go. Record's 4-2, but when I say weird, I mean games they lost, they shouldn't have lost, and stuff like that. Battle of Utah, BYU, number 23 and 15, one loss versus undefeated BYU. BYU survived their last game. Can the Utes take them down? Here are some unranked games to watch. Baylor versus TCU, both 4-2. So don't be surprised if one of those teams are ranked. TCU, I believe, has been ranked earlier this year. Arizona versus Houston, 4-2 versus 5-1. Another good game. Washington versus Michigan, 5-1 versus 4-2. Undefeated UNLV, how are they not ranked? And they play 4-2 Boise. Thanks for listening to the Corbin Report. Next week I'll tell you what teams I have making the playoffs for basketball, including the play-in, so 1 through 10 seed. And I might even do the hockey, even though I don't know much, but we gotta get back into it. Don't forget to subscribe to the Corbin Report on YouTube, Spotify. Check out the Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. If you have any comments, comment anything you want to hear or listen to, want me to talk about, let me know. I've had one comment the last episode. Thanks for commenting. Any messages, send them on social media. Do my best to answer them. And until next time, bye-bye.